Welcome to the Sound Mind podcast, where I invite interesting guests from the music field and discuss with them topics such as musical and personal growth, pursuing excellence and self-talk, body and mind maintenance, practice and work routines, music business, and more. I'm your host, Michael Krustel, and welcome to the Sound Mind podcast. Hello, dear listeners and viewers. Today with me, a brilliant musician, brilliant guitar player, Woytek Justyna, and I'm so delighted that he was up for this conversation because it feels like I'm gonna be talking to my guitar brother. As far as I know, we had a very similar musical upbringing. I think we even started playing at the same age of 14, and then it followed like going through first the classical guitar situation, and then off to big band situation, and then from that the making your own band, and that's exactly also the how should I say, the timeline as it was happening in my case. And then off to Holland we go, and we study music there. So hello, dear Woytek, and welcome to this
Hey, Michael.
podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on. Super cool, and I'm glad we connected many times before, and it's nice to see you doing this. And I'm super thrilled to have this time with you and talk about some stuff, some sound mind stuff. I really like the name of the podcast as well. So yeah, looking forward to get into some stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much. So it's funny how come like your musical upbringing took you. Oh, by the way, but you were also. When were you in Canada? Was that happening before doing the musical studies in Poland, or how?
Yeah, that was before. So I was born in 1980, for whoever likes to count years. And I was born in Poland, in Łódź, and spent the first 7 years of my life there. My family from my dad's side is actually quite musical from the generation before. So the generation of my grandfather, they were all very musical, and they all played violin, and they were like big on more like on the folklore scene. And there's even like a cultural center in a small town named after one of my great uncles, who was very um, he was busy with promoting music and teaching music in the rural areas. He played trumpet and violin, and but my parents didn't really take that really on, and I wouldn't say that I come from a musical family, and music came into my life much later. And for 7 years I lived, the first 7 years of my life I lived in Poland. And then for my dad's work, we moved to Canada for 5 years. And there I started to go to school and all that type of stuff. And that explains maybe a bit of my Americanized English, because I was just a kid, and I picked up the language and had to go to school and spent 5 years there, and English is quite... at some point was almost my first language, and Polish was a bit more difficult for me to speak and write. So when we came back, and in the beginning of the 90s, 1992, we moved back to Poland, and I started going to school in Poland. And it was like I was into music in Canada, but it was like more pop stuff and hip hop and these type of things. And in Poland, just that stuff was completely inaccessible at that point. Still, there was no MTV. There were just like some bootleg cassette tapes and stuff like that. So the music scene was completely different, and people were more into like rock and the old stuff. That was really the musical culture that I kind of fell into with my friends and stuff like that. And I think in 1995, 1994, 1995, in the last grade of primary school, I was really into Led Zeppelin, and I heard Stairway to Heaven,
Are you
Yeah,
kidding
this is like
me? Are you
everybody,
kidding
like
me,
this is the
man?
story.
That's my story.
Yeah, I tell this, when I tell my story to everybody, I was like, yeah, 90% of people, it's like that's how they start to want to play guitar, because of they want to play Stairway to Heaven.
God.
But before that, I was kind of like, I was a kid and I was looking for some stuff to do, and my parents were like, oh, I think there was also like someone coming to our school, like seeing who's musical, and seeing if maybe there are some kids that are talented and might want to go to music school. And they were like, oh, well, you're musical, would you like to maybe do something with music? And I was like, well, maybe. At first I thought a saxophone would be cool, but then it turned out, you have to go to music school and they don't have saxophone, but they have clarinet. And then I'm like, clarinet, that's whack, like that's not cool. And I did not take the exams to music school that year. And in that time, somehow I really got into Led Zeppelin and hearing rock music, and through friends hearing like blues and all this type of stuff. And then I was like, man, I want to learn to play guitar. I want to learn to play Led Zeppelin and have a band and tour all around the world. And that's actually how I always started to play guitar. And then I couldn't go to music school immediately, because it was like in the middle of the year. So I went to I got kind of like private lessons through like this like an organization for amateur musicians, let's say, and just to check it out, how it would be to play guitar. And if I would like it, just like everybody, your parents they don't want to buy, no, we're not going to buy you a guitar, you're going to stop playing, we're not going to pay for lessons, or just go and see for a bit, but probably you're not going to do anything with it. But I was like, man, I want to try this, I want to do it. And I remember from the first moment that I held the guitar and just like played on the strings, I was just really hooked on it. Just the feel, I just remember the feeling of the strings under the fingers, and that you pluck something and there's sound coming out. It was like, it was just this whole world that I kind of could get lost in. And yeah, I just started to really take that stuff seriously from the first moment, and practicing and learning and like coming prepared to the lessons and stuff like that. And the teacher that I was studying with, he was a classical guitar player, so he started to teach me in a classical way, like holding your guitar like this, and the proper technique, playing with your fingers. And I did not know anything about music back then, and I was like, whoa, but this is also cool. And it was completely different than the rock and blues stuff that I heard. It had like, I remember that in one of the lessons he just sat in front of me and he just played some classical stuff, and I was like, what, how is this? There's the bass, there's all this stuff going on, there's the rhythm, there's all these lines going through each other. And I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I just remember liking to figure the tunes out, and of course I started to learning with reading music, and really like in a proper, let's say, professional way. And I just remember the fact of just figuring stuff out and learning the things, and going to the next page of the guitar book was just super fun for me. So I did that for, I guess it was half a year, a few months. And my teacher, he was very impressed by the progress that I made. And in this time I also learned to play Stairway to Heaven, like that first, because I didn't even have an electric guitar. So but that first whole part I could play, until those chords and stuff like that, until it goes into the solo. So I was just hooked on it, and I took exams to go to music school, and I passed, and off I went. And like we were talking before we started to record, the schooling system in Poland is quite strict. So it was really, I was going to music school after school, I think probably 4, maybe 5 times a week, like on Monday there was theory lessons, music theory, music history, ear training. Then the other day I had some piano lessons and guitar lessons. Then there was, I remember on Wednesday was a choir. Yeah. And then on Thursday again theory lessons, and on Friday guitar lessons. So it was like a serious thing. So I was done with my regular school, and after school at 3 o'clock I started music school until 8. you know, and then practicing my ass off until 10, 11, 12, whatever, and doing that all over again for
Was
many,
that
many years.
was that like a music high school or
Yeah, exactly. So the system in Poland was, I mean, I was quite older when I started. I was 14, 15 years old when I went to music school. So I kind of followed the whole system. So I was there with kids who are like 8 years old, you know, in the first grade. And I think, I don't remember, but maybe I skipped a grade as well. But it was, I really went to like primary school that actually goes parallel to normal school. And then after graduating the primary music school, I went on to secondary music school, which is like a music high school.
okay.
And then yeah, really getting deep into classical music, and I even did some guitar competitions, and I got some awards, I remember, on a few, and I played in a classical duo, so that was really like my thing. And I even got a bit snobby about the classical stuff, and I was like, no, I'm playing classical, man. There's all this stuff going on, and Jimi Hendrix is not cool anymore, and it's like they only play the blues, and it's like classical music is where it's at, you know. Silly kid.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I did get like an electric guitar at some point because I was still into that and was trying to figure out things by myself. But you even couldn't tell your guitar teacher that you have an electric guitar and that you're like listening to blues or stuff. That's, you know, that was frowned upon in the music school. I don't know if you had the same experience, that if like you try to step outside of the curriculum, it was really like yeah, it was like it was forbidden almost, you know.
Yeah, for me, yeah, I basically started off with same like Led Zeppelin.
That's it, man.
My first guitar was a classical guitar, but then first I was just playing for 3 or 4 years, just rock, heavy metal music, then prog rock with Dream Theater, just
Okay.
like transcribing the shit out of that, just listening. I remember like just transcribing, listening slow, you know, fast, whatever.
Yeah, with the clicking, like you had to click
Things.
the cassette tape like note by note, you know.
Luckily, I was out of the cassette tape phase, so
Oh, really?
I had one program. I don't know which one. Something I don't even remember which one, but there was like I don't even know if there was YouTube already big. I have no idea.
Yeah, because you're how old are you? You're like 30 something, right? Or 30?
32. I just turned 30.
32. Okay, yeah. Well, there's almost 11 years difference between us. So
Yeah,
it's like I was with a cassette tape, like clack, 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 clack.
you were in some crazy era, man.
Yeah, this was like
Yeah,
yeah, quite old school.
I was privileged.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, it's funny, but it's like, that's the more difficult it is, the better you learn somehow.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
these tools are great, but yeah, so cassette tape, trying to also, like, I ripped out the door of the cassette tape and then put the finger on it, like to slow it down.
Wow.
And then it'll go, so you try to like maybe get a third down or something, or like really press it down so it goes an octave down, so you could like catch the notes and then try to go up. The tapes were ruined, like the cassette tape player was ruined. The buttons were like all loose from like trying to transcribe stuff. Yeah, man.
Holy moly. Yeah. But I have to say in my period, then no one I mean, I was never criticized for the electrical guitar. Actually, because I came to music school because they kind of I was first introduced to the big band of that music school, and I played there, and then I also played classical guitar privately with my first teacher, and then I came to study in like the middle music school. But yeah, I also had experience with when I was preparing for the entrance theory exam to go to the middle school, it was also like kids that were 4 years younger than me, and I was like, wow, felt funny,
Yeah, but it was cool. I mean, it really goes, the music school really goes like a parallel with the other schools, So by the time I graduated, music school, secondary music school. I was probably in my 20s, early 20s. I think I was 23 or 22 when I graduated. And yeah, I was graduating with kids that are 18, 18, 19 years old. So
Yeah.
yeah, totally the same experience. And then yeah, funny you say the big band thing. That's actually how I got into jazz music, is through the school big bands and things. I mean, this was quite a while back, so it was middle of the 90s, towards the end of the 90s, and then the jazz thing in schools was kind of being a bit more accepted, but then they wanted to do it in a very proper way, in a scholastic way. So there was a big band, somebody came to be to lead a big band, and just to have another activity except for an orchestra. And yeah, and because I was playing electric guitar, and people knew about that, I got asked to do this big band thing. And that's how I got into the world of jazz. And I remember coming to the first rehearsal, and they put this sheet down, and there's like, I could read notes, but there were no notes. Like for the most part, it was just chord signs and rhythms and stuff like that. And I didn't know what a C major 7 chord was. What's the G7 plus chord? What is that? I had no clue. So I was really struggling with that. But I asked my teacher about it, and they explained to me the chords. I got this long. There was like these fold out booklets that you could buy with the chords uh, uh, grips, and yeah, I just started to learn that, and then I was already playing some blues stuff and could kind of improvise with blues. I was a big Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, and of course Led Zeppelin, continuing to listen to that, and Jimi Hendrix as well, and then BB King, Buddy Guy. These were the guys that I was really into and listening to. So I could get through a blues, but then you get these sheets and you have to play Satin Doll and something, and all of a sudden the blues scale doesn't really work over that stuff.
Yeah.
So trying to get into playing through the changes and understanding what's that works, and that kind of really started for me at some point. And I really liked yeah, just kind of this freedom and the sound of the chords. I was really always into the harmony. Also when studying classical music, I always had kind of the tunes with more richer harmonies were the ones that my ear was kind of leaning towards. And I remember I was already just knowing a few kind of jazz chords, whatever that whatever that term means. I was like writing my own tunes and little kind of like etudes and chord combinations and figuring that stuff out. And yeah, just exploring the world of jazz. And then there was nobody really to teach you that stuff as well. So I actually, friends of mine were teaching me. I had a friend who was he had great ears, and he could play piano and saxophone. And yeah, he would explain, yeah, look, you have this scale that goes with these chords, and then you can play like this and like that. And he was teaching me a bit, and of course transcribing. And then the jazz thing got a bit more open in the school, so we started to get a bit more improvisation classes and stuff like that. And I really, yeah, was getting more and more serious about that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, still doing my classical music, and I was actually thinking of studying classical guitar and going on to doing the conservatory in my hometown. That was one idea, but then I always had this thing to want to go abroad, because when I lived in Canada, I was like, it's a completely different world. Also back in the day, it's like, there was, when I left Poland, like I remember going with my parents to the shops, doing grocery shopping, and there was nothing, man. There was like nothing in the shops.
In
I
Poland?
remember there was no petrol. You had to wait in line for 2 days to tank your car. And I remember like visiting my dad with sandwiches because he would like sleep in the car in the queue for the gasoline. So it was a complete different time. And when we moved to Canada, like, was, whoa, we're there. Everything is available, color TV, this type of stuff, unthinkable in Poland in that time.
Wow.
So I kind of had this longing for, well, Canada specifically, but also just to go abroad and move away from Poland. So I was going towards the end of my classical studies, and I sent in an application to go to McGill College in Canada, and got accepted for that, for classical guitar. But the costs were just like, it was like $1,800 per semester, like unreachable amounts of money,
Mm.
But then I was like more and more getting into the jazz thing, and was like thinking, it was actually absorbing me. I found my interest in that, and I remember there was like one moment that really made the switch. Is my my guitar teacher, we were preparing for some kind of a competition or something, and we were working out the tunes, and we kind of had a set idea how the performance should go, how the tunes should go, And I don't remember if I was having a bad day and it didn't go so well, And he goes to me, yeah, you have to, every time you have to play the piece the same way. This, like, this is set, and that's how you got to play it. And I was like, that's a strange kind of a concept, because what if you're feeling completely different that day, like where's the, like, there's no freedom in it, like it's set. Okay, the notes are set, you got to play it from the page, let's say, you got to play it as it's written, you got to figure it out and then play it the same every time. It's like I just didn't, that whole concept kind of discouraged me to pursue classical music further. So after I finished my the secondary music school and graduated from that, I decided to really go into the direction of jazz. So I took like a year break, and after that, I was really just I stopped playing classical actually in just in general. I didn't play it anymore, and was really getting into. I made my own band, and we did some competitions. Started writing some first jazz tunes and really practicing jazz, and then I started to study jazz in Poland. That it was like back then there was one school that you could study jazz, a conservatory in Katowice, and I got accepted there, and I did my bachelor, and started my first tours with my first band, with some first recordings, competitions, and stuff like that. And then after I did my bachelor, I was like, man, I want to try to move abroad and kind of follow that dream of like having an adventure somewhere outside of Poland. And I decided to come to Holland, mainly because of the fact that English is, the studies are in English. I was thinking of maybe going to Graz or somewhere in Germany, but there you had to really do an exam for German, and I couldn't speak a word of German and had no real affinity for learning that. And in Holland, also the price of the studies was quite accessible. So I came out here and did my exams, and I actually got accepted to Rotterdam and the Hague Conservatory. But back then I was so set on jazz, and I thought, yeah, the Hague had the opinion of the Berkeley of Europe, or something like that. And I decided to go to the Hague and study jazz there,
Mm. And how were you before? I'm curious, how were you as a kid, like before you picked up the guitar? How was your music activity showing up? Because for sure, like, you had some, or not, or you, or
Not really, man.
listening
No, it was like
something.
I mean, I listened to some. I had some hip hop records and stuff like that. And I remember back in Canada, I would write some hip hop lyrics with my friends and stuff like that. But I didn't really have any like affinity for music. It wasn't. There was a piano in the house of my grandparents, but apart from just walking around and just like pressing randomly, there was no real. Um, I had no real like apparent talent or leaning towards it. It was really that moment where I kind of was thinking, oh, maybe playing a saxophone would be cool, and then just hearing Led Zeppelin when I was like 13, 14, that really grabbed me, and I just dug deeper into that. But I didn't really have any kind of musical predisposition showing, you know.
Yeah. And how was your, what gets you the most in music? Like, is it rhythm, is it harmony, is it melody? Like, what do you perk up to the most, or is it a combination
Well, definitely, you know, the harmony thing. I was doing a workshop the other day, and we were talking about finding your own voice, you know, and what my approach for to that is, you know. And I said that um, you have to kind of look at what you're good at, you know. I because everybody, and I see this also in my students, you know, there are certain skills that we all need to develop, but you know, everyone has a certain strength or a certain leaning towards a certain aspect of the music, and I think mine was always harmony.
Mm.
And I could like really pick out, and it's funny, I have somewhere a tune that I wrote maybe like after 3 months of playing, and I wrote it out pretty with notes and everything. And I was checking it out the other day, and it's like there's 2 5 1s there, and but I was just, you know, I was just putting my hand somewhere and writing down, just finding nice combinations, not knowing what I'm doing at all, you know, like zero. And already there were some jazz harmonies, and there's like some augmented chords in there, and that's like I have no clue where that came from. And my teachers were always like, yeah, you know, you have a very good harmonic sense, and that's really something that you should explore. And that's what I also said in this workshop. You know, you should really take a step back and really see what you're good at and try to make that your thing, you know, at the same time, of course, improving your skills in the other aspects of music, but really finding that thing that is that comes easy to you, and doubling on down on that, and making that come through the most in what you do musically, you know. And of course, rhythm would be another thing. And I always liked funk music, you know, and like music that you can dance to, that moves you. So I actually, this is, I remember a story about myself when my granddad had a guitar. He could not really play, but he would like, you know, play it like it played as a drum. There were no strings on it, but he would like play a simple beat. And as a kid, I was like, you know, grooving to it and moving around. And like my parents said that I would get into like almost a trance, you know. So rhythm is definitely also an aspect that um, is definitely grabbing, and I think it's actually the most important part of music. Anyhow, funny enough, you know, with classical music, the aspect of rhythm is actually maybe secondary, you know, because the rhythm is quite flowing in certain types of classical music. And I must say that although I feel the rhythm and I like to dance and I like to move, playing in rhythm is like one of my weakest points, like forever. And it's like something that I have to work on every day. And it's something that um yeah, that I need so much work on still. I have done work on it, and I'm getting better. Yay. But it's an aspect that is I've, you know, it took me a long time to realize and understand the importance of it, and to feel how important it is, and to understand what the rhythmical aspect is, and really like kind of you know, learn it, practice it, and do it in a very aware way. And of course, melody. I mean, melody. It's all those elements, and the melodic aspect is also quite difficult for me, I must say. You know, I can think of some weird stuff. You know, I can make some weird licks and things like that, but to really make a melody sing and make it sound natural is a big challenge for me. You know, and that's something that's I also spend time on, and that I search for. You know, it's not a problem for me to come up with some hit lines and stuff like that, but to really make a strong, good melody is a challenge, and I love it. You know, I mean, that's what keeps me going in this, is there's this exploration and trying to do things better. And learning these things about myself and learning about your weaknesses and exploring them and seeing how you can get them better. And there's a lot of interesting things that you can learn about yourself through exploring your weaknesses as well.
And what do you practice? Because you said you work a lot on the rhythm area. How does your rhythm practice then look like? What do you do?
Well, I every day I try to do like it's just getting this going, really. So it's like the Corey Wong type of thing. Basically just trying to accent actually I divided into two different things, because one thing is the kind of the it also has to do with motorics. So one thing is really playing super tight with the metronome, 16th notes and triplets, and being able to accent every one of those. So it's just, I really do basic exercises where I go just accenting the first one, accenting the second one on the upstroke, and so forth. The third 16th note, the fourth one, same thing with the triplets, and just really on muted strings and on a F7 F9 chord, just accenting that in different tempos, trying to go as trying to build up the speed, but also always being really relaxed. And that helps with, well, just one thing is the feel, one thing is playing funk rhythm. That is quite important, and getting also control of playing all the strings and hitting the right strings and stuff like that. So that's kind of my basic thing that I do every day. And then I really dive deep into playing rhythmical phrases. So I transcribe a lot of rhythms. So I have like a book with I have it here. I have just different rhythms that I just write down. I have well, this is actually a whole mess because there's harmony and rhythm, but I have some Grant Green stuff transcribed here. This was a nice rhythm from Chick Corea. So I just have these rhythms written out without the notes or anything. And then I start practicing that. I start practicing first just with a metronome, just with one note, or maybe with muted strings, trying to learn that rhythm. And then I start to add notes to it. Sorry?
Do you play that with the tune? Do you play along with the tune, or you just play with a metronome? Or
I just play with a metronome or like a drum groove. I also, now you have so many cool ways to practice, and I alternate between playing with a nice groove that feels good, or also doing it with the metronome. And sometimes the metronome it's good to do it because then you're so bare, so you really have to sometimes it takes me a long time to understand the rhythm. When is it an E and when is the last 16th note, and it's like really the metronome helps to put everything in its place. And then when you're playing with a drum groove, maybe you can adapt a bit more to the feel. But I try to learn a rhythm just really bare bones, either on muted strings or just with one note. And then I start to add my notes to it. So instead of thinking, like letting the notes the note choices guide me, I let the rhythm guide me. And then I just improvise with that, and I just take this one rhythm and I try to play a blues, or I try to play one of my own tunes with that rhythm. And then there's also these exercises that I do with playing like rhythmical phrases. So I say, okay, I'm just going to play a rhythm of one bar and then one bar rest, and then play for one bar and then one bar rest, because I find what I struggle with is the ending of the phrases, so I start and then there's like not a real period in the sentence kind of. So like really trying to gain control over what I'm playing rhythmically. And then I stretch it out. Then it's maybe two bars rest, or I do it uneven. And, you can make, it's just math really. So I have like a whole table of different combinations, of 2 bar rest, or to play 2 bars, 3 bars rest and stuff like that. And then I just look at this combination and I just try to play that through a tune, really focusing on the rhythmical aspect and trying to let the rhythm be take the lead, so to speak, so and it's a cool way because you can like sometimes the noise as kind of jazz people, we get bit too much into the note choices and all the hip stuff, the alterations, the diminished chords and stuff like that that you can pound into a bar. But the rhythm actually makes it is the strength, and then the note choices kind of start becoming more easy because maybe the rhythm is not so dense, and then you really have to find the cool notes that work. So I find that's helpful to me, and it's a really cool ways. It's a cool way to practice, letting the rhythm be the guide. So actually that's it, and yeah, just transcribing those rhythms and trying to play them in tunes, and and playing little games with them and trying to turn them around, and then maybe starting a phrase with the same rhythm, and then maybe playing a phrase and then trying to play a rhythm in between, or maybe play a phrase and try to end with a certain rhythm, so that you're also in control of all these of all these elements, so that it's not just like a studied thing, but then you can just pull it out and it's part of your vocabulary, and you can use that rhythm anywhere in the stuff that you're playing.
Yeah, funny that you say, because I think the biggest on my practice list is also the rhythm. In fact, I do like, of course, with the metronome, but when I really want to get my teeth into the groove, I would put on like a song of Shakti and just jam with them, just play with them. And I would do that, I don't know, half an hour, 1 hour.
Sure, man.
One song, that's it. Either that or Michael Jackson. Like,
yeah, 100%. Definitely. I mean, that's something that I would also do, just put on a tune and just even not even jamming, but just like kind of playing guitar percussion, and maybe you catch a little bit of a rhythm of the drum that's playing, and you just trying to keep that pattern throughout the song, and get inspiration that way, and just trying to keep this is on guitar. This is super important, for the stuff that I like to play. And that this is where everything is coming from, and to have that control and to be able to pick up a rhythm, and maybe the percussion player is playing a lick and it starts in a weird spot of the bar, so I try to pick that up, or maybe I stop the record and I try to transcribe it and just play that one rhythm through the song, just on muted strings, with the groove, or or like you say, just jam with it, or just like take one little note. And if you listen to Shakti, quite busy stuff, so just try to pick one note and find a nice rhythm that fits in between all the stuff, or Prince records and things like that.
Get busy with
lots of fun.
I just get busy with them. I just like dive in and just
yeah, but that's it, that's it's just super important, and I was like,
and it's alive, right? Like sometimes it feels okay, I'm practicing this exercise on the metronome and it works, and I can like how should I say, check, monitor my beats per minute, and
yeah
that's cool. But I don't know, it feels like I'm on a rehearsal, like, and I can try stuff out, and it's
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a very musical way to practice, and it's like, I'm not a very talented kind of person, I'm not one of these people that just picks up everything immediately, and it takes me a long time to learn this stuff, and it always has been, and that's actually part of the fun for me. And sometimes I have to really stop and transcribe and be like, slow it down and what's going on here, and understand it, and to find my place in the music if I'm jamming along. It's a whole process, but it's just part of the thing, I just like to. And if you do it, you always see improvement, and that's the fun in it for me, I guess.
And when do you like to practice the most? Like, is it the morning, or do you have some stuff that you practice more in the morning or in the evening? I notice that if I do my workout stuff, that I prefer to do the technical, theoretical stuff earlier, let's say morning, and in the evening I let go, and there is more creativity and more recording and more like kind of that flow. I don't know
Yeah,
how.
lucky you. Man, I mean, for the past years, I haven't had that much time to practice. And before, how it is in the beginning. You're just playing all the time, so it doesn't matter. I remember when I was a kid, and my dad would wake me up, and he would use the bathroom first, and then I would go after him to brush my teeth to go to school. Then I would pick up my guitar would be there next to the bed, and I would be, going through some tunes or doing some exercises. And the moment I came back home, it was just like straight to my room, get my guitar, try to transcribe stuff, prepare for my lessons at music school, practice. It was like a constant thing. And now with just life stuff, teaching, touring, arranging, stuff for the band, and just the general uh, things that you need to do to make a living and get through the day, and that takes up quite some time. So I've tried to, for the past years, really make time in the morning for it, and like do all the stuff that is important for me in the morning. So I wake up and I have like a morning routine that I do for myself, have breakfast, and take some time to get some just to relax, just to chill, have a chill morning, get some like good headspace. And then at 10 I start to practice.
What do you
And
do for your chill headspace? How do you do?
well, it's usually like this. I try to cold shower, man. Number one. You know it. I know you're into that stuff. So I take a cold shower. I go for a walk with my mom. My mom lives in Poland. I live here, so we call each other. We're like, okay, get up. We're going for a walk.
Nice.
It's just to get some fresh air. I don't know if you're into staring at the sun or
Mm.
looking into the sun. So I heard on some fancy doctor, some popular guy who's on all the podcasts. Is it Andrew Huberman or something like this? The dude
Yeah,
is called. You know this guy?
yeah, no, yeah.
Apparently, well, he advises to like one of the first things in the morning is to like look into the sun. Not like, not like directly so that you're blind, but just like as much as you can to look toward, at least towards the sun. And supposedly some crazy stuff happens in your brain, and some chemical reactions start to go off, and you feel good. I don't know, it's hard for me to say, but I must say, what's funny, I had for years, when you live in Holland and there's no sun, and every time you go get a blood test, it turns out that your vitamin D is like not is at zero, and you have to take supplements. And I actually started to do this, and after a few months I had to do for something else, I had to do a blood test, and for the first time they told me that my vitamin D is actually way up, like
Well,
so go figure. Anyway, so I just do that because this fancy doctor said it's a good thing to do. It's nice also to wake up, so I do a little walk. I do Wim Hof breathing. You're into that stuff too?
no, not really. The breathing, I tried once, but I didn't really internalize it.
Yeah,
I
yeah. So I
just go.
started to do that. I started to do that a few years ago, and it's actually quite cool. Again, very different opinions everywhere about it. If it works or not, or if it's just mumbo jumbo, But for me, I like it, because your body gets really revved up, from the breathing. But then, you try to calm down, and it's just this really, this kind of overwhelming calmness, that I like. So I do that, and then I meditate for 20 minutes. I do guided meditation by Tara Brock. What is her name? Tara Brock, I think. Also, Tim Ferriss. I heard something about Tim Ferriss was talking about how to get into meditation, and he recommended her podcast where she has like guided meditation. So also got into doing that for years.
Is it like an app?
It's a podcast. She just has it's like in the podcast app or in Spotify. It's just she uploads like 2 meditations a week or something, and I have like a playlist of my favorite ones. And
What
then I have a nice
Tara?
breakfast.
Tara. Tara, how did you say?
Tara, I will.
Tara Brock.
We should make it like a pro podcast and like link all these things that we're talking about. Just looking it up. Tara Brock. So TaraBrach.
Okay. We'll note it. We'll leave it in the notes in the podcast as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool, and I know you do this. What is this app that you use?
I'm using the Waking Up app.
Who's that guy called again?
Is it Sam Harris?
Sam Harris?
Sam Harris, yes, not Tim Ferriss, Sam Harris.
Yeah. So probably the same type of thing. I mean, it's kind of all related. It's just that I decided to use her meditations, and I do that, man, for many years. Then I have a breakfast and try to have a coffee, have a nice relaxed coffee, and read for 25 minutes.
You're reading now?
I am reading a book called 48 Laws of Power.
48 Laws of Power.
By let's see. What is this? Robert Greene.
Wow. Robert Greene.
It's a cool book. It's like, I find some things in there are interesting, but it's not like it's not the book that I would recommend, but it's something to check out. But I always try to read something, I have like every time I hear somebody mentioning a book, I have like a little note thingy with cool titles. So I'm always reading something, and doing some journaling as well. Kind of like gratefulness journaling, write down things that I look forward to in the day, things that I'm grateful for. I write a thing that is like, would be great if I would get that done. What would make today great? I try to answer that question. And sometimes it's sending an email to somebody. Sometimes it's, I don't know, paying my bills. Sometimes it's doing some yoga later in the evening, so also been doing that for quite a while. And I do that in the evening as well, kind of try to sum up my day. And then I get to practicing. Yeah. And I try to practice, it's also like with this routine, I don't want people to get the idea that it's like, that it's every day like this. That's like the ideal scenario. But sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh God, just snoozing for 1.5 hours. And then I just get out of bed and it's just, okay, what do I do? Okay, do I shower? But I try to really, sometimes I'm at 30%, sometimes I'm at 60% of this, sometimes I nail like a solid 90. Yeah. But I really try to have the morning for myself, if I wake up a little later, fine, but I also don't check my phone in the morning at all. I don't look at that stuff. I really try to have that morning for myself, and find time to practice in the morning. So ideally, I start at 10 and practice until 12. Like get a solid 2 hours in, and basically doing some transcribing. I also have like a logbook, so I also kind of try to plan my practice thingies and like really think, okay, what do I, maybe I played a gig and I think like, okay, what needs work? What tunes need work? Always the rhythm thing, do the rhythmical exercises. If I'm working on a tune, I do exactly these exercises that I talked about, finding a nice rhythm, or maybe I transcribe a rhythm and try to put it through a tune. Playing through changes is always tricky, and the tunes of mine have always some weird chords that I'm finding, cool things to play on and becoming free with that. So that's kind of like always a staple. And trying to transcribe some stuff. That's always the most fun, I think, and getting ideas from other cats is it's just fun, and I think that's anyways the best way to learn music. Yeah. And then that's really like I try to keep that up throughout the week, and then in weekends it's more time for creative stuff, because then I during a normal day it's usually from 12 until 2 I do bookings and band stuff and arranging things that need to be done for whatever projects that I'm working on at the moment. And then in the evening it's teaching, or in the early afternoon to evening is teaching. And then yeah, and then it's when I come home, it's evening, and I try to take some time to wind down in the evening, you know, try to, not so good in it, but I try to do some yoga, do some stretching before going to bed. And also kind of the turned around evening, the turned around morning routine. So I also try to, you know, have a little small something to eat, grab a glass of tea, and read a little bit, write in my journal, and close off the day with a meditation from this lady before going to sleep. She has like a sleeping meditation that just kind of, that is very focused on breathing, that calms you down, and you know, that puts me to bed without like being pissed off about all the things that didn't go well about that day, or getting stressed about things that need to be done and all this type of shit. So I go to bed peacefully mostly.
I'm gonna be peaceful. Yeah, wow, beautiful, beautiful day.
Yeah, you know, but and it's like I say, that's like that is the ideal. And sometimes I get closer to it, sometimes it's a total mess, you know, or sometimes I really have to be early in the morning. I have some kind of meeting, like today I had a meeting at one of my, at the schools that I teach at 10. I had to drive at 8:30, you know, so I just got up and went there basically, you know, and didn't have time to do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But tomorrow morning for sure I'm going to be back at it, and then trying to have the best day, trying to have a good day, you know, wake up early and have that time for myself. And you know, the experience of the day is so different if I do all those things, if I get the meditation in, if I go for the walk. It's really like the
Yeah.
whole day is just great.
Oh man, I mean, I can really relate to that. And for me, actually, I mean, I'm also doing the journaling, and every day, almost every day, like it's what I'm looking forward to the most in the day. I write almost 95%. I write to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like funny. It's like it feels like I'm a dog sometimes, but I'm really looking forward, and I'm kind of sad if I then don't do it through the day.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for me, like, you know, I was practicing, I always look forward to, and you know, there are these nice moments of the day. You know, it gets my days can get really busy, you know, and it can get quite hectic. And then sometimes if you get sucked into that, you know, you lose those moments that can be a breather in between all the other stuff, you know. And sometimes you know, if I have a long drive to work and I listen to a podcast, I write, yeah, I look that's my moments where I just put on a nice record, you know, if I drive for an hour and I just focus on that, and that's a nice moment to look forward to. And I find if I write that down, then yeah, you really, when that moment comes, you're really like, oh yeah, I have to, this is what I've been looking forward to, let's go, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And did you I might jump now to another question, but it just popped up in my mind. Do you have someone that, before we were talking a little bit about the musical growth and development and that, but do you have a person or a teacher or someone that it's like, wow, I think this person really helped me a lot, or inspired me a lot, or like, this is something or someone that really I see or I notice that.
Yeah, you mean like in music or just in general, other stuff?
Can be both. I'm actually curious, like, do you have one on one side and one on the other? Are you professional or musical? Like what?
Well, you know, I mean, musically there are a lot, and I wouldn't say that there's like one person in particular that I've let's say had personal contact with, but all my teachers have taught me something, and so some of them said things that really stuck to me, and things that I keep thinking about and keep elaborating on musically. One of the things that I remember that I always mention is my teacher here in Holland, Abe Albers, great guitar player. He told me once, he's like, yeah, you have to play like the birds are singing. And I could never get that, I was like 20 something when he said this to me, and I was like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, what? And then now I completely get it. It's like, and if I sit down, if I go somewhere into nature, or it's like springtime is coming and the birds are singing, you listen to that, and all the stuff is there, like all the lines, all the rhythms, all the falling, and the contours of the melodies, and yeah, that's another thing, transcribing that stuff, that's birds sing that stuff, they sing jazz lines all day long, with nice phrasing and cool rhythmical ideas, and with such a natural flow, so that was like something that really, yeah, I still think about it until this day and try to get a deeper understanding of it, and get that into my playing.
Do you think that's why Charlie Parker was called the Bird?
This, I think,
did we
this could
crack
be
something?
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like, if you take some time to listen to birds singing, you will hear Charlie Parker,
right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's birds.
And then, like Prince is a huge mentor of mine. Of course, I've never had any connection with him, but just seeing his career and reading about him and learning about him and what kind of person he was, what was his approach to music and playing, has been a lot. Has been my kind of guiding lights about many things, and also like what would be an opposite of the guiding lights? I don't know, or also a way to learn how not to do things, maybe. Who else? Guys like I love Bela Fleck and Victor Wooten. These are like very early influences of mine, and yeah, these are really like musical things. Things that I got from them was like not to be afraid to be cheesy. Also from Prince. Like if you're cool, it doesn't matter if you play something that is cheesy, and it doesn't matter if people think it's cheesy. It's like you shouldn't be afraid of that. You shouldn't be ashamed of the things that you come up with, and you should just be able to put it out there in the world and be like, hey, check this out. This is what I did. And it's like that thing about not being so judgmental about everything, and and putting a label on stuff. It's like yeah, dare to put out stuff that you might think is cheesy or weird or quirky or whatever, so stuff like that. And yeah, and other stuff, like the past years, a lot of my explorations have been into just kind of more life type of things, and a big person for me is Jordan Peterson. I don't know if you know this guy. He wrote this book that really, yeah, it changed my life, man. It's called 12 Rules for Life.
I know, yeah.
And it's a great book, and I highly recommend it to everybody. It's just about, yeah, growing an understanding of, he's a psychologist, so a lot of stuff is rooted in psychology, and it's about, yeah, just how to find meaning in life, and what are the things that are really important in life, and what to think about for yourself, and what to, how to better yourself, and how to try to fix the things in life that are bothering you, and how to kind of yeah, find your path and walk it and pursue it, and a lot of that stuff. It has helped me a lot in my just in life in general, and many years ago, he has like this program called the Future Authoring Program, and it's like it's a thing where you write about your life on the. It's basically it's like a whole list of questions, and you just write down your answers to it, and it like really helps. well, see where you're at with your life, what aspects of your life maybe need improvement and how you can improve it, and make a plan for yourself, like future authoring program. So you make a plan of the future, and it kind of guides you through all these different aspects of life, and you think about how you would like your life to be in 3 years, what skills you would like to develop, how you would like your relationships to be, how you would like your professional life to be, what would you like to achieve in your professional life, etc., etc. And through the Corona months, years, I kind of it's quite time consuming, I found, but it was such a great that I found the book great, and I find him so inspiring and helpful, and has helped me really a lot in my life. And I really sat down and decided to do it, and it's just incredible how I was actually reading the notes. I think I did it 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I really answered the questions and wrote about the things that I wanted to do in my life and where I would like to be in 3 years. And man, it's crazy how close I got to the stuff that I wrote down,
Oh,
and like I would say like 70% of it came to be, and the other 30% is like I'm in the process of making, and it's so that's been very, very helpful. um and then I check out a lot of these podcasts and stuff, and Tim Ferriss is really cool. Modern Wisdom is another podcast that I check out that's really cool, and I just it's very interesting. What we're doing is very cool, and just to learn about people's paths and these little strategies, and realizing how it really works, because I find that people are like, oh, it's so difficult for me and I don't know how to do this, and but you got lucky, or you had this, and this is easy for you, and you have because of this and that. We always kind of think that people have it better, or that it's easy for them, or that they got lucky. But it's nice to learn about their paths and see that it's just hard, persistent work, and a lot of hearts, a lot of struggle, sometimes luck, but usually just, man, a hardcore grind, belief in the thing that you're doing, and sacrifice, and blood, sweat, and tears, man. That's what it is, and it's cool to get little ideas for yourself, from these people, and it's so readily available now, and I like to dig into that type of stuff.
yeah. I think you said it well. Sometimes it's just grinding and trying and doing, right? Like,
That's it. I mean, I have no other proof yet in my life that it is otherwise.
exactly.
David, do you know David Goggins?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, this guy. Also in the morning I put on I have like these little videos of him, and he's like, yeah, you don't feel like going for a run, you go for a run. You don't feel like making your bed, you make your bed, because it is, man. It's like every day I'm like, oh shit, man, I gotta get up. It's cold, and it's like it's like you need to push yourself to do the things that you don't want to do to grow, and it's like
you gotta Goggins that stuff, right?
you gotta just Goggins that stuff. That's it.
Goggins. Yeah, and it was so cool for me to see one of the videos where he talks also about his struggle,
I read his book. I was actually, the last book that I read was his autobiography about his life, and man, it's crazy what this dude has overcome, and how messed up his life was, and how he just he created himself out of complete dust, out of someone who was extremely abused, underprivileged, whatever, all the shit that you can imagine happening to somebody. He experienced that, and he overcame that, just with sheer willpower, man.
Yeah, and that he is still, even now, just a human, he still struggles to get out of bed, watching his shoes, thinking going for a run, like.
Yeah, I love that story. It's like, I know what you're talking about. He's looking for 30 minutes at his shoes and be like, oh God, man, I gotta go run. But you gotta go run. That's it. There's no.
yeah, and it won't kill you, right? Because I have this like every time when I would go and take a cold swim, you know, like I'm like shit. I why am I doing this?
Yeah, yeah, I know, man. I know. It's like,
Just stay warm in bed, and I'm scared. I mean, I'm really uncomfortable, and
of course, yeah.
I remember I always start. I I'm laughing the whole way I'm driving to the lake, you know, in the winter time to take a swim, you know,
But
and
that's the exercise, because it's like I know it exactly what you're talking about, and that's like I do it in the Hague, in the sea, and it's like I really have to be in my head. Okay, you're doing this, when I'm driving there, because it's like it's just a moment to go like, fuck this, man. I just turn away, I go home, or I just sit in a cafe and have a warm tea, It's like my whole way there is just like this focus and like
yeah,
and for me that's the exercise, it's not even experiencing the cold, but it's just winning with yourself to do this thing that you don't want to do, and that it's so also shocking physically, and basically unpleasant in every way, but the
okay,
process of overcoming it is I think where it's at. It just trains your minds that you are in control of your mind and not the other way, and not like, so that you can say to yourself, okay, it's time to get up and practice, it's time to do this thing that you don't want to do.
yeah. It was really never that I would wake up and be like, can't wait to go
Yeah, 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 yeah.
for a cold shower today. Like,
Yeah, no,
I'm
no,
like,
that's like,
I don't like this, man. I
no,
really
no,
don't
no.
like it. But I know that after that, everything what I do, it's gonna be easy. Like, cause
That's it 100%,
I
man.
do it for that. Like from that moment on, everything is peanuts, man. Like
Yeah,
seriously.
totally, yeah. And it's just this feeling that, I mean, your body is so shocked that the adrenaline, it just carries you throughout the whole day. It's like taking cocaine or something. When you walk out that cold sea, you don't feel your feet. You cannot, like, for half the day, you don't feel your feet. But there's this, your body starts to heat up, and you're just like, so,
Yeah.
yeah, just so wound up by this near death experience almost. It's like, whoa, I lived through that. It's like really, phew, I love it, but it's, man, phew,
I
why
remember
would you do that?
I remember the first time I did it, and I went for a swim, and I mean, I did cold showers before, but I never went for a cold swim, you know, like in the winter. And I remember going in, and I did the breathing, and then I was like, wow, I don't feel cold anymore. That's amazing. And then I mean, don't feel the cold. You just don't feel that you're gonna die, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
feel the cold, you know. Of course, it's but it's not like you want to get out. You can swim, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
it's fine. And then I just completely forgot about the time. I was just so ec- ecstatic about the I couldn't believe, wow, look, I'm swimming, in this. And then I think I was in for like 10, 15 minutes. For
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I
beginner
know exactly
swimmer,
what you mean.
for the
It's
beginner swimmer, way too long. And I think
Yeah, yeah,
now I don't wouldn't do 15 minutes. Like it's 3, 5 minutes, you know.
yeah, something like that.
That's
Yeah,
it.
just I really do it, like, I kind of do it for on feeling. So just to really calm. I think the point of it is really to be in this kind of fight flight state and then try to relax. And it's like, yeah, well, it's like what you say, once you could get control of your breathing and you calm down, it's like, yeah, it's like it's not so yeah, shocking. It's not so intense. You kind of find peace in that. Of course, you're cold, and then once I feel that, it's like, yeah, I cannot move my fingers anymore. And then it's like a sign to get out.
So you were
But yeah,
saying
just to
that,
find that peaceful moment in it, and take that moment to calm down, to get your breathing kind of regular. And maybe I do kind of like this meditation breathing, that I just sit in the water and I just like slowly count to 10, with each breath, really like focus. And then if I think, okay, I feel like I can do another round, I do that. And if I feel like, okay, it's just getting a bit too cold or uncomfortable, I feel like, yeah, like I cannot feel my fingers, then I know it's like, okay, let's go. But yeah, it's great, you know, like I look forward to being back in Poland. My parents have a little stream outside the house, and I can't wait to go out there every day and
Yeah.
do a little dip.
And you said that your feet would get cold, but my problem was that for the first swim that I did, that I couldn't feel I felt my pinky that it's there, but it was just like I could feel the nerve for a week. Like for a week, there was a tingling
Oh yeah,
sensation in my pinky. It was so funny. That was so funny, and I was like, "Damn, I think I should not stretch it that much next
no, but
time."
yeah, you need to be careful. But it's
So for anybody watching, just don't exceed.
yeah, take it easy. You know,
I
starting with cold showers. You know, and what I did when I was doing it in the sea, I started to do it in September. You know, so it was like in September it was warm, and and I would do it like probably a few times a week, maybe some weeks every day, even if I managed to wake up early. So I really started, and then I went into December, you know, so like the water was in September, it was still like, you know, people were going to the beach and stuff. And then it was really gradual, you know, so definitely taking cold showers first, and then maybe gradually building up to the more colder
yeah.
temperatures. Did you ever do it with ice in the like do like a bucket with ice?
No, the bucket with ice, but there was ice on the side of the lake. Like
Okay, yeah, yeah,
I didn't do it with the ice in the
yeah, like an ice bath. Yeah,
bath.
some of the experience is different, you know. And I must say that I'd like to do it in nature always, you know, like somehow it's the nicest.
Yeah, if it's around, why bother with a bucket? And
Yeah, 100%.
but yeah, I have a friend who is having set up his little bucket in front on his terrace, and he said that it forces him to do it, and it forces him to wake up as well, because the later he does it, the more neighbors there are around. So if he gets up at 6, then he's the first one there, you know. And he does
Yeah,
it in
yeah, yeah.
peace and blah blah blah. Otherwise, if you do it at 10, you know, people
Yeah,
are
and I love to do it for waking up because I in the morning I'm a mess, you know. It's like and okay, I drink coffee, but it doesn't help me with anything really. But if the cold showers really, like, you know, it gets me it really gets me going. I wake up, you know, and I'm not walking around all like, oh, until 11, you know. I used to be like, oh god. But
yeah,
this is like really boom, I'm on, I take that shower, I can go about my day and energized and feeling good, you know.
yeah.
It's a nice thing. It's a nice practice, I find.
What's your opinion and feeling on coffee? How do you handle it? Or do you have yeah, do you feel something, or you said you don't feel actually nothing? Or are you one of those people?
Well, I do. I do. No, it's not like I don't feel anything, but it's in this. I meant it in a sense that it doesn't really like remove this feeling, this kind of like heavy-headedness that I always feel in the morning. And for me, it's more because of this cold shower. I'm already quite awake, and then it's more like a ritual for me. I'm not super like I'm not into fancy coffee. I don't have a fancy machine. I just make you know, in one of these Bialetti coffee mugs. I just make a normal coffee and have it with some milk and a little piece of chocolate. And I try not to drink more. I try not to drink coffee throughout the day, so it's just like really a morning thing to get me going. And I mean, I do feel that shock of caffeine, so I also try not to drink a super strong coffee or something. Lately, I've been drinking matcha as well, or trying matcha tea. Do you know this stuff?
Mhm. That green
Yeah, that's the green stuff, and it's quite expensive. but I liked it. Yeah, because there's also a lot of opinions about coffee and if it's good and whatever. I must say that I do feel that kind of shock, caffeine shock from it, and was looking for like a substitute that is maybe not so intense. And this matcha is nice. It's quite expensive, so I kind of alternate between that and having a coffee. But for me, it's more about having this moment in the morning. You know, I have a coffee, I have a piece of chocolate, I write in my journal, I look out the window, I read my book, you know, sip my coffee, and it's a nice little moment. And it could be, you know, I'm not like super I'm not addicted to coffee. It could be a tea or whatever, you know. I choose for coffee just out of preference, you know, kind of.
Because I noticed that since I'm now having days without coffee and with coffee, that I might be less fighting with people in my head. Like,
Okay.
I might have less of this attitude. It kind of puts me in this fight attitude, like this
Yeah, okay.
weird. I don't know. I don't like myself so much on that,
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
in this mode, you know. And it's like it was so interesting to notice that, and it was also so interesting to notice that with my partner, you know, like because I would be asking her also, you know, just check me out a little bit how I
Mm.
what do I if I am a little bit weird because I feel a little bit like more you know, like sometimes I would let go some stuff easier, faster, blah blah.
Okay, yeah, interesting. I have to
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep that in check. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely works like that for me, and I think I'm also quite sensitive to caffeine because already like one sip and I feel it
Yeah.
like I can yeah, I cannot really have these strong coffees, you know, double espresso shots, and oh my god,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you gotta, you know, you just gotta
my
see
heart would
what
stop.
works for you. You know, I also try to also this Andrew Huberman said not to drink coffee like first thing in the morning. So I really drink it. I think he says like 1 hour to 1.5 hours after you get up because of some again about some chemical stuff. And that has made that has made a bit of a difference. I don't have this kind of crash after the coffee. Kind of winds off a little bit more natural. But it's interesting what you say. Yeah, this fighting with people in your head. Yeah, man, that's
Yeah.
yeah. I have to see. I have to keep that. Keep
It's
that in
really
mind.
a specific aggressiveness that I, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not even solving problems. It's just imagining what someone might say, or you pick up,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
dig
Yeah,
up
this shit is
something, and
annoying.
you're like, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I notice myself, I'm like, wow, I cannot really get out of this right now. You know,
yeah,
I'm just in it, in this fight. You know that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
why
It's good to keep those things in check.
why
Definitely.
is it here?
Yeah.
What's the added value right now? You know, it's not there, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, it's yeah, it's good to think about these things. Maybe it's better not to drink coffee if that pushes you into
Yeah,
this weird
maybe.
state, you know.
So I'm kind of also trying out tea. Tea doesn't do a problem. Like it's,
Yeah,
but I also
yeah. For me, it's really I'm useless in the morning, so it's this waking up kick. It's not even I don't experience it in like a negative way because it just really gets me like okay let's go do some stuff, you know. And now and indeed when I drink it later it's also a bit more I don't get like a headache at 3 or something like that, which usually happens after drinking coffee. So but I'm still this matcha stuff I like. It's nice and
that's
it's a bit
basically
more.
green tea, right?
Yeah,
Or
it's green tea leaves that have been like grown in the shade and they have lots of chemical stuff, nutrients, also a bit more caffeine than normal tea, and they're like ground into a powder, so it's like it doesn't melt in the water, but it's like more like a mist, you know. And it has a very kind of strong grassy type of flavor, you know. But it's it's pleasant. I like it. It's a nice thing to try out.
Yeah. Oh, matcha. That's a cool one. Um, as I think back, like and you were mentioning a little bit something about it, like and the books and that helping you. I think really I grew the most from like fucking difficult situations, like the difficult stuff
Oh yeah.
made me grow. Um, would you be willing to share a challenge or something that you had in a year or recent years that yeah, that you're growing through into?
Yeah, man. I mean, the biggest thing that happened to me some years ago is I had this like a total nervous breakdown, man. And it happened in 2018, I believe. So already some years back. And what happened to me is I started just having like super high blood pressure, and I woke up one night with just like, I did not know what was going on. And it felt like my heart was gonna just jump out of my chest, and I was like completely like delirious, and my hands shaking and like couldn't really breathe, like scary shit. And I was with my parents back then, and they decided to call an ambulance because we did not really know what's going on, and the ambulance came and they checked me out, and there was nothing really. They did not find anything like worrisome. I got some medicine to bring the blood pressure down and bring the heart rate down and stuff like that. And this started to kind of like continue on a regular basis, like and not to that extreme point as the first time, but well, it was making my life quite difficult. And so I started to go to the doctor and all this type of stuff, and seeing what's happening to me, if everything is okay with my heart, and in the meantime, it didn't turn to like an anxiety because it was already like an anxiety, but it just started to be a constant thing, like this just crazy anxiety about everything, and just waking and linked to this kind of high blood pressure type of situation, So I checked out my heart, everything was okay, but this anxiety was just like, it was impossible for me to shake, and it was like, it was everything that had to do with my work, with the stuff that I was doing with the band. We were working on a new album. It was just like, it was kind of triggering this extreme anxiety, and I was unable to do anything. It was like I would get up, I would barely sleep, having these kind of like heart palpitation thingies. I did have some medication for that to kind of bring the physical effects down, but psychologically it was just like, it was, yeah, I would just sit on my couch and just like kind of try to get through the day.
Mm.
And once I got checked out that it wasn't a problem with my heart, the doctor suggested, yeah, maybe it's psychological. So I started to go to the psychologist for quite some, well, for a few solid months, and started untangling all that stuff. And there was like a moment where it was really bad. I was in a dark place, man. And I remember like sitting on the couch, and it was just these thoughts, in my head, just going round and round. And this was like triggering this bodily effect, this high blood pressure, this anxiety. And I was like, I kind of understood like how people can commit suicide, like I was like, yeah, if this doesn't stop, if I cannot stop this, I mean, I cannot live with this shit in my head, like I cannot live in this state. This is unbearable, and that scared the shit out of me, so I really started to yeah, certain, like I had to rework my whole life, and all these things that we were talking about, this morning routine, and and journaling, which I was already doing before, and meditation, which I also had done in the past, but not on a regular basis. And I was like, basically, everything that I could find that people recommended for finding balance in life, let's say, or finding calming down, dealing with anxiety, getting your work-life balance in order, all these type of things. I was just started really digging deep into that, and just trying to figure out a way to just stop this anxiety, because it lasted for like, I think it was like 10 months of this type of stuff happening on a daily basis, before it started to wind down a bit, and I started to feel that I'm getting a bit of more control in my life. And that has actually pushed me to all these things that we were talking about, these podcasts, this Jordan Peterson guy who really has helped a lot to kind of get a lot of things clear in my head, and getting a deeper understanding of how I am as a person and how I work as a person. And I always thought of myself as being quite a level-headed kind of guy, and I still think I am, but a lot of bad habits and not necessarily healthy life choices or healthy lifestyle choices, or how my life was organized back then was just has and some stuff from the past, of course, childhood things and this and that have all kind of like piled up to bring me to this point, to this complete kind of mental and physical health crisis of sorts. So man, getting myself out of that has been a whole thing, and that I think that was like the a difficult thing for me to go through, because I never really dealt with something like that before. I was like always like pushing through with everything, and with music, whatever. I mean, I could talk for days about the obstacles and the difficulties that I had in music, and the insecurities that I had to fight and overcome in that, and but this was definitely something like a big thing that led me to really rethinking every part of my life, every minute of my day. I had to analyze and see what I'm doing that is kind of a drop in this whole ocean of anxiety, or of the things that I'm doing, or how I'm living my life, or what my mindset is, what my self-talk is. I had to really go through all that and put everything into place to get myself kind of in a stable place again, and it's like it's still I did, and it's still a process, and I actually don't experience so much anxiety, although I have days when this stuff comes back, and I've learned to deal with it. But through this process of kind of really taking my whole life and just analyzing it and building a kind of a new way of being, I'm in the process of building on top of that, and it feels great, man. I really feel good about where I am in my head and in myself, and how I experience life, and how I deal with life. And it's not easy. I have to fucking fight with myself and face you kind of have to face it. I still have to face it every day, although it's not like it's not a thing that is happening to me. I don't experience the anxiety and the negative thinking around it, and the things that led me to it. I don't experience them on a daily basis, but I realize that it's there. It's like and you just have to keep that in check. And it's the process of keeping that in check is a very nice grounding, self-exploratory process that I'll probably be busy with the rest of my life, and it's overcoming that also made me realize how fragile life is, and how you know, you really have to take care of things, and you have to take care of yourself, and all, if you don't, you know, then all the other stuff really doesn't matter, you know.
Wow. Wow, man. Congrats, bro, and thank
Yeah, it's, man, it was it was heavy, you know. It was, I really went to a dark place, and you know, like this moment that I told you about, you know, like kind of, I wasn't like contemplating suicide, but you know, it wasn't that bad, but I had this moment like, man, I have to do everything to just get out of this, you know, because if this gets worse, it's, yeah, it's I did not want to see that, you know.
and yeah, on maybe to because for example, what makes me talking about anxiety, right? And I kind of challenged my anxiety recently with a day of doing nothing. Like,
Mm.
and it's funny because every evening something crawls in, like
Oh yeah.
something, something, you know, like, yeah, this maybe feeling of unworthiness because I haven't done nothing through the day in sense
Yeah.
of, you know, business or
Yeah,
your
it's a tough one. Yeah, I know that.
and
Yeah.
or your music life or whatever. And it's so interesting, and I'm like, but it's so nice that I can at least I see it, and I'm saying like to my girlfriend, I'm like, oh wow, look, it's here, you know. I feel
Yeah.
it. I feel
Yeah.
some weird now, you know, like I had a beautiful day. We had a 4 hour walk, you know. It was, we talked and we laughed and played games and had a dinner, blah blah blah, you know. Yet I feel something, you know, like I have to prove my worth of
Yeah.
exist,
Yeah, man.
like,
I totally know what you're talking about, and it's, yeah, it's something I struggle to with as well. And it's funny that you say that, because yesterday I had a free day for the first free day for a long time, and I just decided that I'm gonna take it easy. And there were, of course, moments where I wanted to do work, and but I really like, I just said no. It's just a day where I'm gonna chill, which I still find difficult. I was talking to my girlfriend and asking her, like, you know, what do people do to relax? You know, I don't even know what does that like. What does that mean? And she's like, yeah, well, why don't you watch a movie? And I was like, yeah, but I watch a movie, I'm not, you know, I feel like I'm wasting time watching this movie, you know, like it's like I could be doing something,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, I could,
I know, I know what you mean.
yeah, and it's like, um, and you know, it's, I really had this, and then I didn't get this anxiety that you're talking about, that I took a day off, and I went to bed early, and I had a good night's sleep, you know. And I was like, it was one of the first times, I must say, that or one of the few times that I did not have this feeling, that I really took this day off. I took it easy. I did not plan anything. I was just going to see how things roll out, you know. And it was, yeah, it was one of the few times that I really felt okay with that.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's a challenge to relax. And for me, what helps me is making this decision, like, you know, I'm gonna have this day off, you know, whatever, and maybe
Yeah.
plan some nice things with your girlfriend, or go visit your family, or watch a movie. Even you know, just to force yourself to watch this movie, or like go for a walk, or plan just things that are relaxing for you, and make that decision to decide kind of to have that day off, you know.
Yeah.
That kind of help, I think that helps me, you know, just to
Yeah.
I'm really into planning also, so I try to plan my days, and I try to plan my you know, actually every half an hour for me in the during the day is planned, you know. And it's not like it's planned to do stuff, but I mean, I also plan, okay, for 25 minutes I'm just going to stare on the couch on my phone, you know. But then when those 25 minutes is done, I go do whatever I need to do.
Mm.
Or I plan, you know, to have a half hour break to go for a walk, or maybe go to the coffee shop, get a coffee, you know, and a little croissant, whatever, just to have a breather. And I do that consciously, and that helps me with this thing that you're talking about. You know, okay, Sunday is going to be free, and that's it.
Yeah, I
But it's
guess
hard. It's hard.
so. It's also, I guess, like you said, you know, it's training this feeling of that it's okay, right?
Yeah, to be okay that you're not doing, you know, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah, or just meet with friends, you know, or something like that. It's really necessary, and I really have, you know, going back to this Jordan Peterson thing where you have to plan. It's like really, you write out. I have it in my little book, the goals that you have for yourself, you know, and make that very clear. And one of the goals is like for me to spend more time with my friends, you know, to have to have a day off, you know, things like that. And it's like kind of making that conscious and making it a decision has helped me to kind of wind down on this kind of this anxiety that you're talking about, and that you're like, okay, yeah, we're sitting here in this cafe, but it would be actually cool to get back home and you know, send some emails or whatever, or that you're on your phone with you know, when it's chill time, you're on your phone and checking if maybe, you know, oh, maybe I sent something, a little message in between to somebody about a gig, remind them about something, you know. And it's like really it's that has been challenging, you know, and like just this keeping my phone off in the morning and also shutting it down in the evening after 10 o'clock is has been extremely helpful, and has been difficult for me for many years, you know, because you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna miss out on this gig, I could be doing stuff. I can tell you right now, you're not gonna miss out on anything, and your life will be much better, you know. But I get it, man. It's difficult for me to take it easy and to relax and to kick back and not do anything. But it's a switch, you know, that you have to
yeah,
that that you have to kind of like go, okay.
yeah. Another, yet another practice.
Yeah, another thing to
Another,
practice, indeed.
yeah, and to expand this one a little bit, I have a question. What would be the most important lesson or quote or something that you know, that comes back, that keeps coming back to you, like that you keep with yourself, you know, on this path of life, or a musician?
uh yeah, you know, like one of my favorite quotes um that that I have is, you cannot do difficult things without them being difficult.
Hmm.
And it's like, you know, we kind of chose for quite a difficult path, you know. And well, difficult, I don't know, for sure, very challenging, and very challenging, but also very rewarding, I find. And it's like yeah, it's like this thing that we touched upon a bit earlier, that you think like, oh, this guy has it easier, and that you know, that guy, for some reason, it's easy for him, or he got lucky with that, or yeah, I don't know, he has this money, or somebody gave him this money and now he has it, you know, like all this type of thing. And it's just like, it's difficult, and it's really challenging. And it's like, if you want to push yourself, if you want to grow, if you want to step outside of, or go further than you are, it is like pushing a rock up a hill, man. And that's, you know, it's, you're not gonna break out a sweat, you know. It's like, you're not gonna fail. It's you know, the road is just paved with that. And um it's just gonna be difficult. And things being difficult, for me, is the sign that you're on the right path, you know. Because when things are not challenging, then it means you're taking the easy route, you know. And it's like, it's just a way that asserts me that, you know, it's, yeah, you decided to do something difficult, now eat it, you know. You cannot expect that it's just gonna come like this, you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. And like you said, also um, a musician's life is also very specific. Can be very,
Yeah, it's very, very. It's and the further you get in life, well, it's not that it becomes difficult, but well, it does. It keeps getting more difficult because there are more and more different challenges arising, and it's extremely difficult to make a living. It's extremely time consuming to get anywhere. There's huge competition, and basically the chance of you being successful, whatever, well, it also depends what it means for you to be successful, right? But let's say you success means that you, I don't know, you are making sufficient money, and money that will last you for the future, that maybe you can have a family or build a house with, have a car, and be able to support your family. And let's say you might want to live a comfortable life and go on holidays to Portugal or whatever, with doing the music, really doing the music that you want to do, and not playing jobs and weddings or whatever. Man, to make that happen is close to impossible, and you have to be ready to fail. And maybe it will, I am, I'm super happy with the stuff that I did, and how far I've come with music. And it's like, I also realized that maybe that's it. Maybe I'm at the highest point that I ever will be in my life. And this is what it's going to be for, till the end of my career, to the end of my days, or to the moment that I decide not to do it anymore. And maybe I won't excel, and things won't get any better than they are. And it's like, I'm not, um I'm not in a bad place. I managed to put food on the table, and I have a roof over the top of my head. But like, if I think about later years of my life, when maybe I won't be able to do this work, or maybe, I mean, something bad will anyways happen. It's you at some point you will get sick, you won't be able to play that gig, whatever, then it doesn't look so rosy. And it's like, it's daunting having this hanging on top of your heads. So it's definitely, I wouldn't recommend this job to anybody. You know what I mean? I wouldn't tell my kids to go and be a musician, if I had kids, and if they would ask me. But it's tough, but I would recommend it if you really, really love it and you cannot do anything else. It's like, it's also that, it's like, I cannot, I don't know what the hell I would do. This is who I am. It's become my life's path. This has become my adventure, and I'm gonna see it through to the end. And it's but all those other things, man, that's yeah, we all struggle with that. And I haven't, well, it's not that I don't know musicians who aren't successful in the sense that we've spoken, but there are a few, and there are a lot more who, for who it's a lifelong grind, whatever, struggle. I don't like to call it a struggle. It's just, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's the grind, it's the hustle. That's what it is.
yeah, yeah. But sometimes I also feel that if it weren't for the grind, and if it weren't for the difficult stuff, I probably wouldn't be able to discover the gifts and the insights. And look, you basically put yourself first, regarding of the situations and everything. And I really always try to see it like that, that is just, yeah, this is a calling of yours, like.
That's it. I mean, that's what it is for me. It's like, I just decided that I'm gonna do this, and it's like, I cannot, I mean, I, I want to quit this. You know, Louis C.K. has this great. Do you know this comedian, Louis C.K.?
Yeah.
He has this spiel about. He's talking about, you know, like every day I just wish I could leave my family, you know. It's like they're just assholes. The kids, they're fucking assholes, you know. And my wife, she's just all the time in my ear, man. I would just every day I just wish I could leave them, but I can't because I love them, you know. And it's exactly the same thing for me, you know. It's like I try to quit. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, I don't need this. Like every time there's some bullshit, which is every single day, it's like, oh my God, do I need this? Do I need to deal with this? You know, I could for sure find a different way to run my life, but it's like I cannot, because this is just who I am. You know, this is my calling and this is my path. And it's like, uh, what for me, what gets easier is dealing with the bullshit, because there's so much of it coming, and if you don't fight it, but you take it on in full stride, and when something arises, you're like, okay, let's deal with this now, and find a way to get through it. And it's that's how you you know, that's how you forward, as they say.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, dear Wojtek, we
Yeah.
about so many topics. So I know you for a while, but I think today I've got to know you even deeper and even better. Thanks for sharing
Oh
all.
yeah, man, my pleasure, and thank you so much for well, thank you for, first of all, for making this podcast, you know, and taking that step. It's something that I've been thinking about doing for myself for quite some time, as one of my you know, as one of the things that I do. And there's always some different stuff, and I know for me it has been it's been difficult to do it, and I've never done it, and I hope to do it. And seeing you do it is very inspiring, and hopefully it will push me to get it started. And I hope to have you on my podcast one day.
Well,
And yeah, thank you for this. And it's I see the stuff that you're doing, and I see that we're, you know, we're all you know, we're all on the same side of the stick, as I like to say. You know, we're just trying to put out music in the world and follow our muse, follow our calling, and try to, you know, lead our lives in a nice way, and follow our passion and share that with the people. And it's man, I salute you and what you are doing, and it's a pleasure talking to you, man, and getting to know you as well. And all these things that we talked about also off camera have been extremely insightful for me as well. So it's been a good day.
yeah, yeah. Thank you really for your time and your energy again. And on the last note of the session, where can people get to you? How can they follow you, get to know more about Woytek Justyna?
Well, that's a good question. Best way is to go on the internets, because my name is quite a difficult, probably quite a difficult name, complicated for people to remember. But WojtekJustyna.com is the place to go. My band is called Treeoh, written like the tree, like, you know, like a plant. So tree, Tree, and then OH, like you're surprised. Treeoh. If you type that into Google, you will only find stuff about my band and myself. And of course, Instagram is Woytek Justyna, my strange name. Facebook is Woytek Justyna Music. And YouTube is even more complicated. So I got to work on those handles, but I think we'll put some links for people to click. I mean, if nobody really writes, like, you don't go in and write the email ad. You don't write www dot blah blah blah. You click your link, right? So we'll put those links up, and then you know, I'm active on Instagram, lots of music on Spotify, and all the info about tour dates is on the website, Facebook. I'm all over the place. So if anybody's out there wants to say hi, I would really appreciate that, and then we'll say hi back.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you again, dear Wojtek. And
Yes, thank you, Miguel. All the best to you. And yeah, I hope to catch you soon somewhere around the world.
exactly. Ciao.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, feel free to share your thoughts and ideas on the topics we've discussed today in the comments, as well as any burning questions you might have for my future guests. I'm your host, Michael Hrustil, and until next time, I wish you a sound mind.